Hey, Frank and Arlo. Greetings from Barcelona. I'm Frank Clark, and I love Barcelona. But I'm not here to talk to you about Barcelona today. We're here for one more, this is our last evening in Barcelona. So instead of the ocean in the background making you go, what the hell is he saying? Now you have the street traffic right outside of our Airbnb. I'm here to tell you a story today about when I was the Babe Ruth of hit-away box ball in Stone Harbor, New Jersey for one day. Now, kids play games. You play games. Frank and Arlo, your games are going to be different. Probably. Maybe not. Like everybody in the United States plays things like baseball and football. They're organized sports. But I'm not talking about that kind of a game. I'm talking about games the kids play when they just go out and play. Arlo, your game right now is probably hitting things with a stick and digging in mud. Frank, I don't know what kind of games you play. Could be anything. Could be shooting pool. But when you were younger, you had games that you played. When you were in school, like after school, you'd get together with your friends. And I'm sure that back when George Washington went to school, there was a game that the kids played, and they don't play it anymore. Kids don't play it anymore. That's a tall beer, isn't it? But it's not a cheap beer. It's actually a good beer. It's Estrella. One of my favorite Spanish beers, and it's brewed right here in Barcelona, although I drink it back home from time to time. So I remember my dad, your great-grandpa Clark, telling me about a game called Peggy, and I would laugh my butt off at him talking about Peggy. What you did is you took a broomstick and you sawed off one end of the broomstick, probably 3 inches or so, and then you whittled down one end of it, kind of like you were sharpening a pencil, so that it was shaped like kind of a pencil point at one end, and you would take the broomstick and hit, the pointy-ended little stick would be sitting on the ground, and you hit the pointy end with the big broomstick and make it pop up into the air, and then you would hit it like a baseball. And I don't know what happened after that. I don't know if somebody was standing 10 feet away trying to catch it, or if you just hit it against a wall, if there was a target that you hit. But the game was called Peggy. I'm too busy having fun over here in Spain to spend the time researching that game. And for all I know, your great-grandfather made all that stuff up. It wasn't really a game, but it sounded like it was a game to me. Well, one of the games that we played in Philadelphia, in Kensington, was hit-away box ball. We had a zillion games, and they all involved a thing called a pimple ball. It was the size of a baseball, rubber, air-filled. I tried to buy one, and I was going to bring it on this trip, but the COVID-19 supply chain mess has caused it so that you can't buy pimple balls. You can see them online, but they're not available. Besides that, I didn't want to try to set this thing up so that you could see me, my full body, and demonstrate this thing. It's just, it doesn't matter that much, because I can explain that game to you. But we did a lot of things with that ball. If you had a curb, you could play curb ball, and you'd throw the ball against the curb and it would pop up, and depending on where it landed, they were all kind of baseball games related to baseball. So it could be a single, double, triple, or a home run. There were some of them where you would play that and there would be people in the field. Sometimes it's just you and another guy. sometimes it was a bunch of kids, and we always could figure out a way to play one of these games. We had a game called Wire Ball, where you'd throw the ball up to the telephone wires, it would hit, and then somebody had to catch it, and if they didn't, if it fell in a certain place, it was a single, double, triple, home run. We had Wall Ball, which was kind of like racquetball, and we had Step Ball. We had something called Chink, and I forget what Chink might have been the same thing as Curb Ball or Wall Ball with some kind of a variation, but there were all these things. I don't know how much of Philadelphia played these games, but we did. We played them all, but the king of those games, the reason that you bought a pimple ball was to play hit away box ball. Now there used to be a game called box ball where you had a baseball diamond and there was a box drawn around home plate, and you had to hit the ball into the box and then it would bounce. Hit it down, it would bounce to the fielders, and you played baseball that way. You would hit it sideways, boom, but hit it down and it would pop up. That game sucked. Nobody liked playing that game. That game had actual rules, and it almost seemed like adults created those rules because they weren't fun. In my neighborhood, we played hit away box ball, and in fact, turns out we weren't the only ones that played hit away box ball. I was not that good, really, at any of these games. I was okay. I was a different kind of athlete. I wound up becoming a surfer and eventually a runner and stuff like that. Oh, they're not a really good runner, but I was an okay athlete. But back then, I was just this dorky little kid. I never got picked very high up because I kind of sucked at box ball. Now, hit away box ball, we had kids that could hit the ball 2 blocks. We would play on Survivor Street, starting at York and going to, I think, Memphis, or on Survivor Street from York, Boston Avenue, and whenever the next one was, maybe Letterley Street, on to the next one, which was really kind of, it was 2 blocks because Boston Avenue cut a block in half. And kids could hit it all the way down there. Pew! But I couldn't. So if there were an odd number of people in the game, I wouldn't get picked, or they'd pick me and put me someplace out of the way. And then when it was my turn to bat, I was kind of an automatic out because I sucked. One reason that I sucked is because in the summertime, I wasn't there. I was at the shore, and pretty soon to be a surfer. This is before I started surfing, but I was already into the beach scene and hanging out. I was sailing with one of my neighbors, helping him. I crewed on comets and stuff. So I was into my own thing. And then I would come back after the summer and go to school in Philadelphia. Well, one year, my grandma, my nan, your great nan, my mother's mother, got gangrene in one of her legs, and they cut the leg off right up to it was just a stump below her hip. And I think the surgery happened in Philadelphia, but they allowed her to go down to Stone Harbor and stay at our house there. And this happened at the end of the summer. But they weren't allowed to bring her home for at least a month. So my parents said, okay, we're going to put Frank in school in Stone Harbor. It was a very different school than I was used to. School in Philadelphia, there were maybe 30 kids in a class. Sometimes there were 2 classes. In first grade, you had Miss High's class, I was in that, and Miss Little's class. So you had 60 kids there. In Stone Harbor, there were maybe 20 kids in the entire class, maybe even less than that. It was a small schoolhouse in downtown Stone Harbor. I was in 5th grade, I was just starting, but the 5th grade was in with the 6th grade. And there were only maybe 3 or 4 5th graders, and the rest of the kids were older and thought they were cooler than me and the other 5th graders. And I was the new kid, so I was going to be tested, because you're always going to be tested. We go out for recess, and they said, yeah, we're playing box ball. So I said, oh, cool, I can play box ball. I'm not real good, but I can play. And they went, well, yeah, okay. They chose up sides, and I got chosen last. I get the bat last. They go through the order. They come to me. Now, every kid hit the ball where they held it out in front of them, flipped it up in the air a little bit, and then hit it side on. Boom! The most I can travel is, I don't know, maybe 20 feet, 30 feet, if you get a little loft on it. And that's what they did. Boom, boom. So the fielders were all positioned for people hitting like that. I came up to bat. And they said, oh, it's the new guy. Plus, my nickname was Beanie, and I had a couple friends that went to that school, so I wasn't going to the school with nobody that I knew. I was the new kid. But my secrets were all known because I knew, I think it was 2 kids that went to the school. One was my friend Chip, who lived almost right across the street from us in Stone Harbor. And then there was another kid that I knew. So I get up there. The fielders move in because I'm an easy out. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, in Philadelphia, the reason that those guys there could hit the ball for 2 blocks is they hit it like a tennis serve, not like a tennis volley where you go like that. They hit it where they throw it up and look over their head, bam! I couldn't hit it that far. I could maybe hit it half a block, but I could darn sure hit it further than 20 feet, and I could hit it over everybody's head. I didn't ask permission. Like, hey, I'm gonna hit it different. I just threw the ball up and hoped that I didn't miss it, but I got a hold of it, and I hit a pretty nice hit, like bam, got some nice arc on it. It cleared the fence and went up on a roof. Now these are all those kind of roofs, so it bounced and came down. And the people on the other team were like, whoa! And the people on my team were, yeah, yeah! I ran around the bases, home run. Well, what do you think happened? Everybody went, hey, that guy only beat us because he did it different. But I didn't just do it different. I did it better. But I didn't invent better. I just brought better from Philadelphia. I imported better into their system. And by the next day, people there that were better athletes than me could hit the ball further than me, and they had to reconfigure how they played the game so that they weren't hitting it over the fence all the time. And by the next day, I was hitting easy outs or maybe doubles every once in a while. I was just one of the guys, a little better than the Philly experience, but still getting my butt kicked by the better athletes. And life's like that. Sometimes you have a chance to bring something good to people that you're not that good at, and they're going to be better than you. That's okay. There's a saying, when the tide comes in, all the ships rise. You can help that tide rise every once in a while in your life, and don't be afraid to do that. I'm proud of the fact that for one day, I was the Babe Ruth of hit-away box ball in Stone Harbor, New Jersey. Peace out from Barcelona, bros.